Fellas, welcome to episode 11 of Keeping It Loose. This is your host, D-Skach, aka Wolfpack, joined alongside me by D-Skach, Dalton Skach, and Bryson Lewis, aka Lubu, aka Baby Blue Lou. Fellas, welcome, and a first-time appearance from a guest, Bryson. Welcome, and we're really excited to have you on the podcast today. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Is there anything you want to share with the listeners before we start getting some things going here?
Absolutely, guys. Longtime listener, first-time caller of Keeping It Loose here. Could not be more ecstatic to join the conversation here. I think you guys have a great blend, a great melody of personalities on this show so far, and I think what listeners can expect from me here is a little bit of hip firing. I think a lot of my takes come right from here and not from here. So you'll hear a lot of things that you might think, wow, I didn't expect him to say that. Well, I didn't either. So with that being said, I'm really looking forward to starting the conversation.
Yeah, this is going to be it's going to be our first golf podcast of the Keeping It Loose series. Episode 11 is sponsored by ProMix. Get your berry beats in. It's good for blood flow. It's good for working out. It keeps your brain sharp, okay? So we're going to kick things off here, all right? We got a couple agendas, a couple topics we want to cover today. First topic we're going to cover is PGA Tour versus the LIV Golf Tour and the overall health, really just a status report on where both tours stand, fellas. We're then going to finish off with who's our winner for the Players' Championship. I know it's a little bit preliminary. It's coming up in a little bit around a month right now, but that's what we do on Keeping It Loose, okay? We get ahead of the curve. We predict the future. We're not waiting until the tournament before to pick the favorites, okay? This is what we do. So, fellas, with no further ado, I'm going to jump into topic one here. I want to preface a few things with PGA Tour versus LIV before I hand it off to you, D-Skach, because we're coming off an absolute just ball buster of a weekend, okay? No pun intended there. We have Anthony Kim, okay, the comeback story potentially of the century, going in to LIV Golf Adelaide, Australia, 5 strokes behind DeChambeau and Rahm, plus 22,500 going into the final day. Correct. D-Skach did take AK, $20 to win 4,500. Then we have the PGA Tour event coming out of Pebble Beach Pro-Am with Colin Morikawa fending off the likes of Scottie Scheffler, Minwoo Lee, and a lot of the other top players in the world. So, guys, we've got a lot of exciting stuff to dive into today. D-Skach, I want to start with you. Where do you see the PGA Tour versus LIV Golf kind of rivalry settling in right now?
Yeah, first thing I want to mention is I might be controversial, might be contradictory, but I think what LIV Golf has done for the sport of golf has been tremendous. And what I think about that is that it has brought new faces, new people into golf, brought a lot more money into it, also created this competitive atmosphere to where PGA Tour can't just sit back and just collect all of these checks and just make all the rules. They really have to offer incentives and I want to say amenities to the PGA Tour players, and they have to then also increase their entertainment and do things to get the best players in the world to come to them. I think previously they were just in a whole league of their own, no real competition. So LIV Golf has come here, really brought some of the best players in the world to LIV Golf, paid them huge sums, changed the whole format around. And now we're even talking about, right, Anthony Kim coming to LIV, having this big upset. But we're also talking about other players that came from PGA Tour to LIV that are now going back to the PGA Tour, which is what I'm super interested in talking about today. We're looking at Brooks Koepka and also Patrick Reed that went from PGA Tour to LIV, got that bag for 4 years, and now that are coming back to PGA Tour. And a big kind of, question that I have is how is LIV going to respond? They spent all this money. They started off right. They have more money than God. And I wonder how they are going to respond to some of their top players they've had for 4 years going back to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, D-Skach. I like that you kind of dove right into that because I think that's where the time frame is right now of where we stand of how is LIV Golf going to rebut what's going on with this returning player program that the PGA Tour has unraveled this year, right? I mean, Brooks Koepka is coming back for this season. That's great, but it wasn't with no ramifications, right? He
Right.
had to make a $5 million charitable donation. He's ineligible for the new player equity program, which, by the way, was created because of LIV and because of everything that they did, right? So he's foregoing maybe 50 to 150 million in value there. He's not eligible to collect on any of the FedEx Cup prize money. So it's coming with ramifications, and he's still doing it. Right. And so then you take a look at other things that I want to preface for Bryson before we kind of get into maybe your take on this viewership and sponsorship, right? I mean, looking at the statistics, LIV Golf is down 41% in overall viewership year over year right now since 2022. They also went from having roughly 300 million in sponsorship investments to now 110 million just a couple years later. So the viewership's fallen down a little bit. They're not getting as much sponsors. Some of their main guys are headed back. Bryson, where do you kind of see LIV Golf going right here, right now? And how is the PGA Tour responding to everything that happened just a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have made some great points there, right? It's clear, I think, to the untrained eye here that Live Golf is not what it had set out to be initially, right? And it's not anywhere near the level of product that it anticipated being a few years down the road here. And even from the perspective of competition, right? It's Live in the name. It stands for 54. And they've already pivoted to going back to 72 holes of 4 rounds of golf to appease I believe, the OWGR, right? So I think that they've taken a long, hard look in the mirror here, while at the same time realizing a little bit of attrition. I think the product that we'll see from Live in the next 3 to 5 years, if it survives, which I think it will, in the next 3 to 5 years, will be a very different product than what we've seen over the first few years here. Um, with that being said, I also think that quality of talent that they had initially received will probably take a pretty firm backseat because of the way that PGA Tour has kind of rearranged themselves to kind of make sure that they remain in that form of prominence there and at the highest level of the golf world from a professional standpoint. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, no, I really like kind of going into the recent changes because a lot of guys are mad about it, right? Like you said, 54 holes to 72 holes. I mean, that was not the promise that was made at the end of the day, but they need official world golf like ranking points, right? At the end of the
Correct.
day, that's something that needs to happen in the future. And so, guys, maybe a little bit of a spicy take here from C Scatch, but I'm comparing the future of LIV versus PGA Tour because, again, I think the PGA Tour, what they've proven is tradition holds true. The tradition of the PGA Tour has held true for over 100 years now. And going through all of this disruption, their viewership keeps going up, their purses keep getting higher, the level of competition is incredible, right? And so I think they've only become a stronger tour. And so I say that with, I think the future is going to look a little bit Premier League, Champions League-esque. And I say that right off the back of AK, Anthony Kim winning this tournament, because I think that the LIV is going to turn into a little bit of a feeder for the PGA Tour. How that's going to happen, I have no idea, right? I mean, they've tried to come to agreements in the past, but like they paid these guys how much money to come to LIV a few years ago, right? There was a $5 billion investment right out of the gate. Like, how inflated was that? Are they really going to go and pay Bryson DeChambeau $1 billion over the next 7 years, 6 years? Like, where's the math in that? And so I think as you see the official world golf rankings coming up, you see guys like AK, because I was looking at it this morning, they're talking about, oh, AK should play in the Masters. Like, on what world should AK play in the Masters? other than the fact that he beat Jon Rahm and DeChambeau one time at band camp, right? Like I don't know, but guys, you look at the viewership from Sunday, topped out at 3 million for Pebble Beach, topped out at, it was averaged about 2 million. And then on the LIV, it averaged about 250K, topped out at 1 million. So I get it was in Australia, but that is LIV's golf signature event. And it's still just getting boat raced by the PGA Tour. So that's my like kind of loose take on where I see those two tours going in the future.
Right. I mean, if I could jump in here and share what I think would make LIV dominant in the future, understanding that what they did, they came out swinging, giving all of these different players these huge salaries, basically saying, hey, you don't need to win, you just have to play. There's no competition in that. And I think that is probably what is missing here. You're basically watching these players play in a different format that is different than what we've watched for over 100 years for golf. Basically trying to re-educate an entire kind of community of golfers to watch this new system of points, different, number of holes, also with players that have no real skin in the game. No one really cares if you win one of these LIV golf tournaments. You're not going to be remembered for winning a LIV golf tournament. I think almost if the Saudis were to hire D-Skach, hire Mohammed bin D-Skach right here to change up the incentives a little bit, what I would do is I'll take a page out of the Mr. Beast playbook. And what I would say is, hey, maybe rather than doing 14 different tournaments a year, we're going to do 3 or 4 tournaments a year. And it's going to be winner take all, $250 million. They're already paying this much money, and now you're saying, hey, we're going to get maybe 100 of the best golfers in the world. You're going to play, have the chance to play 4 times a year. We're going to invite you. We're going to turn this into literally 4 or 3 different Super Bowls of golf. Winner takes all, down to the last person, win $250 million. That's some shit I would watch. That is 3 days of golf that I would watch. And if you showed it in a format, so how Mr. Beast does it, where you're just showing these contestants that come out with 100 or 250, and you just get knocked down one by one by one by one. You can bet on all of this stuff, right? Winner takes all, life-changing money. I think that is something where you're just going, hey, we're going to keep the same golf that we love to watch, but we're going to just up the stakes. We're going to up the stakes, and we don't care about having to go do all these other things to prepare for it or play in it, because if we win, we are set for generations and generations and generations. That's what I would like to see live change in the future.
Sounds a lot like the majors to me, Lubu. Sounds a lot like the 4 majors to me on the PGA Tour right now. Like, Lou, what are these guys doing for the other 48 weeks of the year?
I would say it sounds like D-Skach has recently watched the plot of Happy Gilmore too.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I think it bridges an important question here, though, as to actually what is the ideal client profile for LIV Golf right now, and what is the product going to be to reflect that, right? I think that was something that was initially probably misaligned when they rolled this thing out, because is it for the casual watcher of golf? Is it for the golf sickos out there? Is it for people across the globe? Is it for people in a specific age demographic? That's a question I wanted to bridge with you guys as well here, because I think that there was a clear disconnect for the product and who it was supposed to be for initially, and clearly they're redefining that now. How would you guys define the ideal watcher profile, the ideal client profile for LIV Golf here moving forward?
Yeah, I think, just to go back real quick, D-Skach has been watching a lot of YouTube, and that was quite possibly one of the more ambitious takes on keeping it loose, I'd have to say, in the sport of golf.
But is it crazy? They spent all of this money doing it right now, and we're not trying to recreate the wheel.
I would watch, though, for the record, I would watch.
I would watch, but it's batshit crazy, and these guys, D-Skach, these guys are like Jon Rahm and DeChambeau are not just going out like everyday golfers over here. Like, these guys are trying to win the Masters. They're trying to make sure they're prepared to win these other majors on the PGA Tour as you go throughout the year. It becomes even more of a joke, honestly, is what it feels like.
All I'm saying is up the stakes so that people watch it. That's the same reason why Mr. Beast has these videos, and he just goes like, "Hey, watch me go from, a $1 vacation to a $25 million vacation," or whatever it might be. People are like, "I've never seen a $25 million vacation. I've never seen a sporting event ever in my life where it was $250 million winner take all." And that is what they're already paying these people. You don't call it the Masters, you call it the God's Cup, you call it Muhammad's Cup, you call it whatever you want to call it in Saudi Arabia. But I would watch Muhammad's Cup at $250 million. That's all I'm saying. It's just taking the playbook. That's something that already works. All of Mr. Beast's videos get more views than any golf tournament, period. So I'm just saying, hey, just
We're
take that
just, yeah.
format and you create this huge thing. I would want to go to Muhammad's Cup, God's Cup, whatever you want to call it. I would want to go to that event and watch that thing. That thing would be lit. That'd be like an F1, going to an F1 thing in Miami. It would just be everybody would come there for those 3 days to have great food, to also be with all the wealthiest people in the world. They still do that at maybe Augusta, but this I think would really create a whole other profile, people that come for a weekend to watch golf.
Yeah, that it's interesting. I've never even heard a take like that. I think for the golf sickos, and the average person that's watching these PGA Tour events in general, the people that love golf, love tradition, that's going to make this live golf thing even more of a joke. I mean, we're watching live golf, and there's music just blasting in the
Right,
background of their
right.
shots. I mean,
I
it
don't
is
like that.
not it is not a fun experience to really watch it at all. It already kind of feels like a huge joke. So I don't know. I
No, I
get
hope
it.
you
It
guys
makes
know that
sense,
I'm not
but
saying no, I'm not saying keep the same format. I'm saying just take the exact same format of the PGA Tour, right? And these big tournaments they do, and just up the prize, because right now we're splitting $25 million for the players that we'll talk about here momentarily, where the winner
Mhm,
only gets $4.5 million. What can you
mhm.
do with $4.5 million, Joe? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But a
You can get
quarter
a lot of blue
billion
chews.
dollars?
I can buy a lot of blue chews, Chew. I can buy
You
a lot of
could.
blue chews.
You
Never run
could,
out
you
of
could.
blue chews. So, I
Speaking of
see
blue
where you're at.
chews,
It's a big
Bryson,
vision, Bryson. Like I'm gonna lay off for a second. I don't know quite if I'm bought in on that one, but I mean, let's hear it, dude. 'Cause
I
I'm
just
kind of starting
think,
to get
you know what,
pissed.
D-Sketch, I completely agree with you. If it could potentially be a bit more of a blank slate approach here, but I think that because they've tried to define an approach already and lay a foundation already, that pivot would probably be a bit too far off the beaten path here situationally.
Hmm.
If it was an initial approach, to it, and something that they could take to these investors, to these backers immediately, but I think it might be a little bit of I would say a 180
again, the
compared to
way
how
it
they're
currently
trying to
is,
do it now.
the way they
He's
currently
not gonna
have it
let this
is
one
not
go. He's not gonna let it go, Lewis.
the way they currently have it is not working. It's actually decreasing. They have
Yep.
more money than anything. So they have the ability to pivot, because the other alternative is going the way that they're going right now. So again, if they were to hire Mohammed bin D-Skach
Mhm.
to advise on
Right.
this initiative, this is what I would recommend to them, because C-Skach already mentioned, he says, hey, I think Live Golf is going to be the feeder into the PGA Tour. And I'm saying, I started off from the very beginning statement, I think that Live Golf has been so great for the sport of golf, because it is making them take the best things of everything and compete to get the best players in the world to compete, which is what we all want to watch. We want to watch the best competition in sports for the sport of golf. And so if I'm Live Golf, I'm going, hey, let's make the PGA Tour a feeder into these Live Golf Muhammad Cups every year.
Okay.
People go win the Masters, they go win the Players, they go win whatever. You get a spot at God's Cup.
Okay. So just to
I think it's counterintuitive to the goal that they have right now of aligning themselves with more serious golf, though, wouldn't you say, D-Sketch? I mean, they just took their name, Live Golf, and said, F it, throw it out the window. Now we're going to be whatever the Roman numerals are for 72 holes of golf. And all of that so that they can be in the OWGR rankings, which is a portion of huge contention for people that were at the highest level of LIV Golf already, because they wouldn't be able to leverage that to be into to play into some of these most important PGA Tour events. And I think that taking that extreme that you're describing would be a step in the wrong direction to what they're already trying to do to align themselves with the PGA Tour level. Don't you think?
If their goal is to be the feeder into the PGA Tour and they just want to go suck on the nipple of the PGA Tour and just be their little feeder boy, then yeah, if that's their goal, then they should do whatever they're saying. But if they want to compete and actually get people to watch this and be known throughout the world where people are watching this, I mean, again, $250 million, that is something that they're already spending. And I think it's something that people would watch from throughout the world. You could even turn it into a World Cup where you get the best golfers from every nation, like almost like the Olympics. You turn it into something like that. Maybe it's getting a little crazy.
What a concept.
I'm just saying people understand the numbers of $250 million, and I think they would watch it. I think they would watch it more than the Olympics. I think they would watch it more than the Masters. That is what I'm saying. I think they're both great, PGA Tour and LIV, but we are seeing people that went to LIV that are now going back to PGA, and they're paying the price rate. They already got their bag, so it's a lot easier to pay that price, granted, right?
Yeah.
So, but maybe we dive a little bit more into another topic.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And we'll just kind of wrap the whole thing up here, right? D-Skach thinks it's Premier League, Champions League. I think the money can be repurposed into the PGA Tour if they can come into agreement. I think Saudi Arabia just wanted a seat at the table, to be honest, with the PGA Tour, with an American sport in general, or let's call it at least an American foundation or corporation that is the PGA Tour. D-Skach thinks, hey, we should go the opposite way. We should have basically the PGA Tour be feeders for LIV Golf. And then Lewis has a little bit more of an identity thing right now. He's trying to see how the LIV Golf is going to have some rebuttals here going into the new year, because there is a lot of disruption going on and it is a week by week thing. So fellas, I enjoyed the discourse there. I think it's a fun topic that we're going to talk about and has been talked about for the last 5 years. The Anthony Kim thing is making this even hotter of a topic. We'll save that for later. What I really am excited about today is predicting who will win the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass in less than a month. You can have the favorite, you can have the dark horse, you can have a fan favorite, whoever you want, fellas. This is your discourse to tell our listeners how they can make a boatload of money here. Okay, so Bryson, I'm going to start off with you on this one here. I'd love to hear if you've got 1, 2 guys, why you picked them, what their odds are, and just keep it loose, Chew. That's all I ask.
Sure. I'm trying
I
my
know.
best. No, I think I can't get into, exact odds, right? I can give you ballparks for some of these picks that I've got here. I think it's important to identify, because the Players is one of those rare PGA Tour events that is played at the exact same golf course every year. You can always identify a bit of a trend in the kind of golfer that wins it, and the kind of golfers that are typically successful in that tournament, in that environment. I think that driving distance is a very important metric for TPC Sawgrass itself, but more specifically, I think driving accuracy. You cannot be spraying that thing across the land over there on that golf course. The best way to be scoring, as Rory showed us, even though he did spray it a little bit last year, is to hit that thing a mile long and straight and end up in the short stuff, with the ability to hit wedges into a lot of these par fours and hit it over a lot of these designed obstacles in terms of that layout there. So with that being said, I think somebody that I could find to be a bit of a dark horse and an exciting pick for this year, who has been trending in terms of the way he's played golf earlier this year, I would say is Matt Fitzpatrick. Now, let me let that marinate for a second.
Had him, too. I had him on the board.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know I had him on the board.
Yeah.
I yanked out, but let's hear it, dude, because that's a great pick. That's a great pick. And Matty Fitz Magic, his current odds is plus 4,600, a.k.a. 46 to 1. So talk about some value, Chew. Walk us through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what I think it comes down to is somehow in that little body, in those little sketchers, that guy generates quite a bit of speed and quite a bit of power when he's driving the golf ball. And so when he gets an opportunity to, let's say, put together a few rounds of consistent accuracy driving that golf ball, the the sky is the limit, I think. We saw it at the Waste Management this year. What did he came out and fired a 62 or a 63 or something to start that tournament? Obviously, I think, and this kind of goes back into the live golf to PGA Tour conversation, right? But the hardest thing to do at that level is to do it 4 days in a row. And so I think in terms of what you get from Matt Fitzpatrick, there is a boom or bust, a little bit more of a, this guy might go out there and shoot the course record that day. What I think also has saved him in terms of preserving some of these higher finishes when he does not have that driving accuracy, or that strokes gained from tee to green accuracy in general there, is his chipping, his short game around the greens. I think anybody that
Phenomenal.
can see it knows that he does the overhand grip. He's got quite a few different toys in the bag when he's around the greens, and I think it makes him. It preserves quite a bit of his golf game when it's not at his best. But I also think when it is at his best, it's pretty darn tough to beat, and he can go pretty darn low, and he's shown us that already.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, right? Like the players, it's certified flusher territory, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you have to be a certified flusher to win the players. You look at the last guys to do it, of Rory, of Scottie back to back, of Justin
Hmm.
Thomas. I mean, those guys are certified flushers. But the one other point I really liked about Matt Fitzpatrick, Lubu, is the fact of the mental fortitude that the players takes, because TPC Sawgrass is a very, very difficult golf course. And so
Hmm.
you need to have proven mental fortitude. He's shown it in the Ryder Cup. He finished top 10 in the players already. Like, the guy can absolutely keep it going for 72 holes. I think at that value, it's a very great pick. Honestly, I was almost there. I like that one.
Major
Um,
champion,
yeah,
big bad Matt Fitz.
yeah, exactly. The guy has proven the mental fortitude, and that's really what the players takes. And some people say the players is the hardest tournament to win on the tour as well, right, Chu? So, um, you have another guy, or is it just Fitzmagic show?
I do have another guy. I do have another guy here, which is somebody that I am very excited to talk about. Everybody that is in my friend group knows that this is somebody that really simply gets the flag up the pole for me in terms of how he plays golf on a day in and day out basis. And that's a man by the name of Sepp
Oh,
Straka. Cole, you know it. You know it.
Big
And
Easy.
the reason that I chose him is for exactly what you had just described there in terms of the mental fortitude necessary to win this golf tournament. I would say that Sepp Straka's brand of golf is a fairly boring brand of golf. But one thing that cannot be denied is his consistency, striking the ball with irons, and frankly, his consistency of avoiding bogeys and avoiding blowups, and on a golf course that can easily turn um, a bogey into a triple,
Yep.
a par into a double. Somebody that is absolutely steady Eddie, even keel, big bad bald Sepp Straka is somebody whose corner I would like to be in. I mean, I've never seen the man have a single emotion whatsoever. And I've seen him win
Yeah.
a few golf tournaments, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a great eagle to finish out yesterday. It proved that he just really, it doesn't look like he gives a flying rat's ass out there, to be quite honest, which is great.
Mhm.
Seppi is plus 6,600, Chew. So
Ooh.
you've got your boy Matt Fitzmagic at plus 4,600, and then you got
Mhm.
your boy at plus 6,600. What
Mhm.
kind of wagers are we placing? If you got, $500 to work with here, how are you divulging that to both of these guys here between Big Easy and the Fitzmagic?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And I think, um, you know, it defines the volatility of the golfer itself should define how much I think we're investing into it. Somebody that's going to run the damn ball, right? 280 down the middle of the fairway, going to hit the ball to somewhere within 20 feet, 25 feet of that golf hole, and depending on how well he's putting that day, should put up a pretty darn low number. That's Sepp Straka. I would invest a little bit more in. Now, I think it's important to see how a golfer is trending at any particular peak in time or point in time there. But I would be putting more value into Sepp Straka than I would into Matt Fitzpatrick here.
Wow.
And that is simply from a consistency, a quality of consistency standpoint here as well. So let's say, $500 to invest here. I would put $100 on Sepp Straka to win this golf tournament. And that's going to return you $6,600, which is a pretty decent little payday. And then from that, I would put somewhere between $50 to $75 on Matt Fitzpatrick to win this golf tournament. And then I would take the rest of it and shove it down Scottie Scheffler's throat.
Scooter. I love it. Yeah, no, I love it, Chew. Full disclaimer to all of our listeners. This is an unbiased take. This is not financial advice. Baby Blue Lou has chosen Seppi Straka over the past 18 tournaments to win. So, again, no bias, not financial advice. This will be Lou Boo's 17th tournament in a row taking big, easy, big bald man Seppi Straka. So, thank you for that, Chew. Best of luck to all the gamblers that get on Seppi and Fitzpatrick. I might sprinkle a little on Fitzmagic, but I'm going to hang off a big easy for now. D-Skach.
One shot away.
Let's hear it, because I think you said you've only got one guy. So it sounds like you're putting the full boat on one human being to win the players here.
That's certainly right. And it's great to have Bryson here for his first time, just seeing where I used to be on the first episode and how I've evolved as a, analyst of sports, and to really be able to go on these prediction markets and have a higher success rate than 0 out of 17 has just shaped me. And so it's just great to have you here. I'm glad to, they'll be able to witness how, the sausage is made. But it really comes down to two golfers, gentlemen, that could even fathomably win the players. It comes down to the first, which is Scottie Scheffler, and comes down to the next one, which I'm taking with my bet, the $500 Skrillas, I would say, which is Chris Gotterup. I mean, it's black and white. We have him at plus 4,100, gentlemen. And the big word here is momentum. This is a guy that came out of college a few years ago, top golfer. Now started 2026, the golden age, some would say. Starts the golden age with 2 W's, one at Sony in Hawaii, in the 50th state of Hawaii. And then he comes over and he goes to the Waste Management Open and he wins the dub. And I think one of the most, here's just some other things. I mean, he's ranked number 5. He's not the number 2 American ranked in the world, already at 26. And I think one of the greatest things that I would say about this is after he won the Waste Management Open, he comes out and he goes, you know what? It's just about staying loose. And
he did say that.
If that's not a winner right there, if that's not a winner, I don't know what a winner is. So you're talking about Scottie at plus 300, and you're talking about Gotterup at plus 4,100. I'm willing to take the plus 4,100 and let it ride. Let it ride to goes down to plus 1,000, plus 700, plus 690 maybe. And then at that point I could either cash it or I could let it run all the way. But I like my guy Chris Gotterup, 26 years old, just a dog, also from New Jersey, where D-Skach lives. And so, I mean, that's maybe just where greatness grows sometimes. And he just went, grew up in Jersey all the way through, goes to Rutgers, and he goes, I gotta fly. And then goes to Oklahoma and then just dominates there. I mean, he can do it in the Northeast. He can do it in the South. He can do it in Hawaii. He can do it which way. He's 26 years old. Momentum is on his side. Everybody loves an underdog story. And there's nobody I like more than Chris Gotterup.
Yeah, and not enough people are talking about it, D-Skach, but there's some people that are attributing Chris Gotterup's recent success to your host, caddy performance in the Pro-Am in La Jolla at Torrey Pines, okay? The Wednesday before the Farmers Insurance Open, D-Skach was out there keeping it loose with Gotterup, offered him a grand in a long drive competition, didn't take it, scared, but we talked about keeping it loose. Me and him, we were out there, we were talking about keeping it loose. Next week, he goes on and wins the People's Open, and what does he talk about in the interview? It's just all about staying loose out there, okay? And so not enough people are talking about. Some people are my close group, but I think Gotterup's got something going, D-Skach. I think his value is awesome as well. That $500 bet on plus 4,100 is going to make somebody rich. And that's going to be awesome, dude. I'm really excited to see what he does. Through these three picks, fellas, and I think there's one common denominator as well, Scottie Scheffler. I like where everybody's head's at. Everybody did their due diligence. So thank you for that.
It's a great pick, D-Skach.
That's
a great pick.
You know, out of everybody here, I want to understand, is there one person, because you could always just, you know, back up what Bryson and I said about our players, but are there one or two players that we haven't mentioned yet that you had on your board?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to get into, right? I actually don't have either of those guys in terms of Fitzpatrick, Sepp, and Gotterup. I don't have any of those three guys, which I had Gotterup. I took him out. I had Fitzmagic. I took him out, right? Like, this is the troubleshooting.
Are you guessing yourself? As Lewis and I know, you got to follow your heart, D-Skach.
Well, I'm all heart, and that's why I bet on AK plus 22,500.
Oh, here we go.
So if we want to talk about heart, I'm all heart, all right? And you're gonna see that with the two son bitches I got on my side over here, because we got value and we got value, okay? And the two guys I'm gonna be rolling with today, not named Scottie Scheffler, okay? Because I think we can all agree that
Correct.
250 of my $500 in capital will be going on the scoots. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm just going to leave that be. He's got 8 straight top 4 finishes. Only guy to ever do that was a guy by the name of Tiger Woods. He's got 18 straight top 10s. He won it back-to-back years. Like, it's Scottie Scheffler, put 250 on it and ride it to the bank. Now,
somebody's got to wake that man up on Thursdays, though, Chew. He's sleeping through the Thursday rounds.
He can't putt. He can't putt just like last year, but what happened as the season went on? His putter got hotter and hotter and hotter. So, you know, I think by the time we get to the next month, we're going to go to Riviera next week. Like, I think Scottie's going to be obviously in a position of success to win this tournament. Everybody's going to be chasing Scottie, or Scottie might chase them for the first couple of days because that just seems to be as special. But I still think you fire with confidence, too. My first guy I'm going to go through, okay? A little bit higher odds, maybe a little bit of a flyer. But somebody, Lewis, we talked about it yesterday going into the golf course, and somebody that almost won yesterday. Min
Wooski.
Okay. Plus 7,200. Okay. Dude, there's simply too much value with the Woosters. There's simply too much value. I mean, this guy, we talked about it earlier, Lou, certified flusher, right? He's playing great, D-Skach, to your point, momentum, playing great golf to start off 2026. Damn near took him to a playoff yesterday. Should have honestly been in the playoff if it wasn't for Mari Fuqua, which we'll leave that on a completely different side over there. Bryson knows how I feel about Colin. Okay, D-Skach, that'll be a different story. But this guy is just, I mean, he finished in the top 20 in the players last year. He was, I think, solo 6th back in 2023, and he's just been lurking. And the thing I really like about where Minwoo's game is at right now is he's showing mental fortitude. He's showing resiliency. He got to 16 under at Pebble Beach last week and had the solo lead. He had a bad finish. He could have easily let that derail his 4th round like Jake Knapp did, right? And Knapp, great finish on 18. That's fine. But he didn't. He stayed in there. He was resilient. He struck the ball well. Lewis, this guy has the highest ball speed, highest average ball speed on tour right now. He's touching 190 on ball speed. He's keeping it straight. Guys, I'm throwing a hunch on Minwoo Lee plus
Good shout.
7,200. So I've got Scottie plus 250 as kind of my banker. Then I got Min Woo at 100 to win 7,200. Okay. So a little bit of both. Again, he's proven he's got the mental fortitude. I'm excited to see where he goes this year. And between him and Minjee Lee, his sister, they're winners. I mean, they like winning. So,
Can I take Minjee? What is Minjee's odds to win the Players
Minjee
this
is
year?
not going to be in the Players this year, but I heard she will be spectating as well. So, I think, and again, that's why I wore the baby blue today, for the great country of Australia. Okay, is exactly why I threw on the baby blue today. So just wanted to throw that out there. A little sidestep, sponsored by ProMix. Get your berry beats for flow, for mental fortitude. Keep the berry beats going. Keep taking ProMix. Here's my triple diamond table maxim platinum Wolfpack bet of the millennium. Okay, this is a new segment on Keeping It Loose. Okay, not a lot of people know about my triple platinum bet of the millennium, okay? But this one I feel great about, fellas. It's Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, plus 1,800. This guy finishes off last year winning the Tour Championship. First PGA Tour win was the Tour Championship last year. The guy had 45 top 10s before that, before winning an event, right? The most of any Tour player in history. He was gonna win. He was gonna at some point let the doors fly open, and he did that in the Tour Championship. And what did he follow it up with, Lewis? Can you help me out here with what he followed that Tour Championship up with?
Are we talking Ryder?
I think he went in and was undefeated in the Ryder Cup. Questionably the most amount of pressure, means the most tournament out there in all of golf. He came in and had an unbelievable Ryder Cup experience and results. I think this guy's just starting to get going. Again, certified flusher. The guy is an animal on the putting greens. He was top 3 in strokes gained on the greens last year. He shot 20 under at Pebble this last week, finished in the top 10 for his first event of the year. The guy's not even sponsored right now. I mean, he was just repping Pebble Beach. I mean, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about nothing but Tommy Fleetwood. And so I
I
think
imagine doesn't give a fuck.
he does it. And that's why he's my triple diamond platinum table maxer of the millennium. And I'm going to put 150 on him. I'm going to spread it across those 3 guys. And I'm going to sit there, crack a couple pops, and keep it loose, fellas.
What do you say about Tommy Fleetwood being a bit more of a bridesmaid than a bride, Chew? I think that historically speaking there, you're giving it the whole he won the tour championship last year treatment after being of similar quality for the better half of the last decade and not winning a single gosh darn PGA Tour event is a little bit more of a than it is a wow. I wouldn't say this guy's peaking either at the moment, especially provided the fact that the Ryder Cup, particularly the folks at the greatest country in the world trotted out there for the Ryder Cup, was probably the saddest excuse of a fucking Ryder Cup team I could possibly imagine. So the whole thing regarding his performance in the Ryder Cup and being undefeated, which I can get behind, obviously he is a top 10 golfer in the world, has been, I would say, for quite a few years now, having one tour championship, being the only PGA Tour event won under his belt, would be more cause to sell than to buy, in my opinion, Chew. What do you think?
Yeah, whenever I'm looking at my wagers, okay, or
Sure.
my predictions, I'm looking at what does the sports book, what do the casinos know that I don't know? And to place him at the 3rd highest odds this early right now with only one PGA Tour win under his belt, something's fishy about that. It is a huge drop off after Scooter,
Surprising
Rory,
odds.
and Fleetwood Mac. So when I'm looking at my wagers, I'm like, what does the casino know that I don't know? And to have him at plus 1,800 is another Wolfpack system play. Of something seems a little fishy, and the guy is just, he's putting himself at bats, just continuously getting 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I get it. He did that forever. We're like, Tommy Fleetwood's never going to win. I think Tommy Fleetwood's opened up the floodgates. I think the casinos know something we don't. He's placed really well at the Players over the past 5 years.
Sure.
I think he's only missed one cut. He's got a couple top 20s, top 10 in him. Like,
It's
I
a balance.
just Chew, that's why. I'm on the Fleetwood Mac train right now, and hopefully he's sponsored by then as well. But D-Skach, I don't know if you've got anything else on top of that you want to add, but I'm all about the Fleetwood Mac, Joe.
You know, just to summarize your picks, Scott, you had Scottie, which is not really a, I guess, intellectually hard pick to make for half your bet. That's a maybe standard one that anybody could watch on any channel. You went with a Australian fella for the other one instead of going with Matty Fitzpatrick, or without going with Chris Gotterup. And so you went with an Australian fella. You talked about how great that country is. Not sure what they have ever done of importance, but I just want to leave that there. And then you finish it up with Tommy Fleetwood, which I think Bryson had some great pushback, and your suggestions were, oh, the casino knows something I don't. Now you're some sort of conspiracy theorist, Scotch. And so
Mhm.
I would have, I think, welcomed you to follow your heart on this one. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. This is a tournament that I will be watching for golf before the God's Cup comes out in the next few years. And
Me
I've
too.
enjoyed the conversations, gentlemen. I mean,
Yeah.
C-Scat, thanks for hosting it this one, moderating this one. Lewis, thank you for joining us. I thought this was riveting. Hope
Mhm.
the audience did as well. C-Scatch, any final
Yep.
thoughts, comments?
No, I just appreciate all of our listeners coming on to episode 11 of Keeping It
No.
Loose. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen.
See you next.